المرسلين يعطي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله خاتم الأنبياء ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وعبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد، الحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alhamdulillah, it's a great honor to be invited here, some of my young brothers, to speak on something that is extremely dear to the Muslims. Alhamdulillah, it's Ramadan. And I like the title, I like the idea. That means you get it when you're able to construct a title such as this, Ramadan, the starting of a new beginning, because you understand, at least that aspect. The references is to that the Ramadan is a month in which we can really get another new lease on life, so to say, another start over. Because it's a blessing to live, from Ramadan to Ramadan. And how the emphasis is placed in the Quran about this is the month in which the Quran was revealed, and that's the emphasis that's placed. That we're celebrating something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us as a gift, the Quran. And it's a matter of how we understand this issue that we have as a Muslim. There is an agenda. And the agenda is laid out in the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed something to us. Because it could have ended Prophet Isa alayhi salam. It could have ended there. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He had given us a promise to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gives a promise, wa'adul haq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahu wa'adul haq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always is true to His promise. And this world will not end in this sense. This world will not end until Allah has fulfilled every promise that He has given to any of mankind, altogether or singly. So the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this chance, this other possibility that we can get it right. Because we're trying to get it right. And each time, from Salah to Salah, from Jumu'ah to Jumu'ah, the Amir al-Salih to righteous actions, we're trying to get it right. Perchance that there's one act out of all of what we've done, it will get us to the Jannah. And this is what we'll be working on. And then to understand this in terms of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you life, and out of this life, we're a part of the population of the whole planet, the whole world. And in, how many, maybe thousands of millions of people that's on this planet, out of all the population of the world, there's a segment of His creation that He has made Muslim. Not everybody. So it's a privilege. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided you, and the sacredness of the Muslims, brothers and sisters to each other, is that there's something in your heart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed Himself in your heart in respect to how He has guided you. And you would not have been guided had it not been for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what makes our relationship sacred. And this is how we need to take it, because when I look at my brother and my sister, I say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided that person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed, that guidance in the heart of that individual. And that's what makes us sacred. That's what makes the blood of a Muslim sacred in respect to that. So when we look at, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about Ramadan, and He speaks about He has prescribed fasting for you as He has prescribed fasting for those before you, so that you may gain taqwa. That's an issue. So that you may gain taqwa. So that the agenda and the objective. And all throughout the fact of fasting, there's an objective here. Fasting shapes the individual. Fasting shows the individual as a Muslim that you don't need much of this world. And the more, and you see in fasting, we voluntarily detach ourselves from a lot of the things that even the things that are halal. We suppress, we restrict ourselves from the things. Because why? Because fasting is only for Allah. If it was about you fasting for somebody else, you might be a little particular and apprehensive about fasting. Well, because you won't find the necessity involved, because it's the individual that you're dealing with. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're dealing with, and that's why it's understood that fasting is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have developed bad habits, and we need to understand those habits, and we need to see that we have the ability to rise above the obstacles that have been placed in front of us because of these bad habits. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says during the course of the day, this prescribed fasting is that we give up food, drink, relationships for what? For those few hours of the day. People smoke, unfortunately, cigarettes and so forth, but they have the ability, they have the willpower to give up those cigarettes and those bad habits for an entire day. How many hours that we are going to experience from 4 o'clock to maybe 8:30. So it just shows you have the abilities within you. But what is the focus? The focus is on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why fasting is prescribed for him. And we know all throughout the Sunnah. Now, the brother related the fact that the Prophet ﷺ says those who fast for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because now this is the objective, in the sense that what you do is for Allah. The focus, and because we're being disciplined and conditioned, and that's why it's not a matter, as the Messenger of Allah says, it's not a matter of just giving up food and drink, but it's a matter of behavior. It's a matter of conduct, how you conduct yourself. Because he says, if you fasting and you're backbiting and you're involved in frivolous and vain talk, then Allah is not in need of your fast. Because now fasting keeps us in the sense of being more conscientious. And the conscientious is that, our focus is on Allah. Those things that we tend to, allow ourselves to be affected or allow ourselves to be influenced by, we now suppress, restrict. Now, within the things that are halal, there are things that we do that are questionable and undesirable and so forth. So now the focus is on giving up not only what is halal for that day, but even giving up what those things. And I don't want to say haram, because I'm not a person who says that we indulge in haram. There's faults that we have, but we may have, whatever. But the point is that you're focused. Conscientious taqwa that's what taqwa is implying. When we talk about taqwa, people say taqwa Allah, like fear Allah, is more than that. It's more than just fear. There's a level of fear. There's an element of fear that comes with taqwa, meaning that because why? Because you are extremely conscientious of your duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that conscientious means that, I would give the example that Umar radiallahu anhu, Ibn Khattab, had given about when they asked him, what is taqwa? What does it mean? So he gave an illustration of taqwa. He said it's in a paraphrasing, he said it's as if a man is walking through a bush, a trail of thorns on both sides. The man walks between those thorns, is very extremely cautious that he doesn't go too far to the right, too far to the left, but he stays on the middle course. Perchance he doesn't get pricked by the thorns. That's how cautious. So he's extremely cautious. So that means that's the sensitivity that we must develop. And that new beginning that you're speaking of is in the sense